Good evening, everybody. It's Dr. Mark Waller. Welcome to Mastering Thought live stream, where our purpose is to discuss moment mindfulness, how it works, what changes it brings to people's lives, and also some of the struggles that trying to do something so simple can can bring. And we're waiting right now for somebody else to join us, Shannon. And we love Shannon. If she can join us, great. We've got box number 3 open for her, and if not, we'll close that box, rearrange everybody, and we'll continue on our discussion. So to my right is Sarah. Sarah's in Ashland, Oregon, and down in the bottom right is Simon. Simon is in North Hollywood,
Hi.
and Simon. You're the guy they put from Central Casting to show what you would look like if you shaved your head.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
look great. I would look horrible. I got ridges from the birth process and all kinds of stuff, and I need my hair to cover it
Mhm.
all up. So we're going to have a lively discussion tonight. We hope if you join us, you have questions, put them in the comments. We'll be looking for that, and because that adds a tremendous amount to the discussion. So while we're waiting to see if Shannon can join us, I know Shannon's got some challenges with her cell phone, and um, hopefully she can overcome that. So Sarah, bring us up to date. We hadn't seen you for a couple weeks. Are you still practicing moment mindfulness? What changes have you noticed? What learning have you done? Or have you just been on vacation?
No, no, I can't be on vacation from this. I cannot afford to do that. But no, it's the last time I was here with you guys, I found what Simon had to say very impactful, and it's really helped me. One of the main things that stuck in my head was, I am not my thoughts.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so it's been really interesting. I am practicing um, morning and night just to sit there and try to have a random thought. But
Okay,
I am observing, I do find myself observing my thoughts throughout the day. But
good.
those thoughts are not random. They're destructive thoughts, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah, and so I don't know if practicing, sitting down with the practice of just observing just a random thought is helping me to be more observant
uh-huh,
and noticing, because I feel like I'm starting to really see myself a lot more clearly. And what Simon said, I'm not my thoughts. When I have a thought that is, beating me up or not, it's not productive.
uh-huh,
I tell myself, it's like, well, this is just a thought, and I don't act on it. I've just been like, okay, um, and just taking a pause and not really going down that rabbit hole with those thoughts has been really amazing for me.
good.
I felt like I was
Wonderful.
really starting to go down that rabbit hole and I was getting really down, but doing this has really helped me.
Wow, that's great testimonial. Let me just tweak what you said just a little bit, make sure
Yes.
um, you don't, part of the practice is not to actually generate a thought.
Mm-hmm.
You just passively wait for a thought to drift into your mind, which happens all the
Yes.
time. Um, and we don't do this, there's specific reasons why we don't do this on disturbing thoughts or negative thoughts. And if you check out the YouTube channel, Mastering Thought, you will see in the last several weeks, I've done some really interesting videos on why moment mindfulness is so effective in getting you outside of the system of thought. And there's one that's coming out Saturday morning. I think it'll be published at 11 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's not very long. It's only about 13 minutes, but it talks. I came up with a metaphor to explain this, and I think it'll be very helpful for people trying to understand why we're doing the simple thoughts, because it's the key to everything. So Simon, and I'm so happy to hear what you're saying. I mean, because honestly, when you started with us on these sessions, on these live streams, you were just in the conceptualization process. And that was like, what, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? So
Yeah,
look at
just
you,
trying to
look
really
at you
understand.
now.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep practicing
Good.
because it's helping for sure.
And what you're looking for, just to bring everybody up to date, is a moment where the voice in your head says, I want a glass of milk, and you know that that is not you and it doesn't feel like you. You're not telling yourself it's not you. You don't talk back to it and say, that's only a thought. Um, oh, here's Shannon. She's saying good evening. I was hoping she could join us, but we welcome your comments, Shannon, and eventually I know you'll be back, and we really look forward to that. So, you don't talk about it, it's just very casual. You're just becoming the observer of your own mental activity, and in psychology, we call that metacognition. And you're literally outside of the system of thought, observing it, and that is the magic of the practice. So, Simon, bring us up to date with you.
Still in my head more than ever, but I
Ah,
realize what I'm doing. I can't let it go. I don't know how to live without thoughts narrating internal life and external life.
uh-huh.
It's a language. How can I let language go when I need to communicate with you guys? It's like I need that language of self to communicate with myself. I don't know how to let it go. I don't know where I'd be without it. And I
You'd
observe
be
it all
you,
day.
you'd be living instead of thinking.
Yeah, but it's so much a part of my living that
I know.
I need it. I need it. I can't. It's like I had this analogy I wanted to share about like sitting in a rowboat and
Uh-huh.
just disidentifying with the paddles, just chucking them away. What would I do without the paddles? I need these paddles to get to where I'm going.
Right.
It's I use this internal self-talk to get me to where I'm going, to like navigate my life.
Hmm. So
So,
the question is, where does your self-talk want to navigate your life? Is that really where you want to go?
I mean, it's like something I put on to get me to where I'm going, and I
Uh-huh.
can't let it go. I don't know how just to like stand there like bare without it.
Uh-huh. So I'm really happy that Simon is sharing this. Simon is an analyzer, and
Big time.
I've broken this down into two different types: analyzers and explorers. And actually, based on your feedback, Simon, as you know, I generated a little instrument with three different exercises for analyzers to try to get them out of their heads. I thought last week you were telling me it was working for you. Anyway, in the comments below, once the recording is up, there will be a description with a link, and you can take the quiz to find out if you're an analyzer or an explorer. And what that'll do is it'll take you in one of two different directions to try to help you master this process. So, okay. So before we go any further, let me just explain what moment mindfulness is. It's a simple exercise where you sit with your eyes open. And the reason why we're doing this is because we don't want to confuse this with meditation or with prayer, not because they're bad and this is good, but because we want people to be free to do this in their everyday walk of life, like driving to the store or taking a shower or, you know, attending your garden. You just with your eyes open, but internally you're noticing your own mental activity, the voice in your head chattering away, and you just wait for the ever next thought, an everyday thought. It's very important that this is not a negative thought or a stressful thought because those thoughts trigger fight or flight. And when that happens, the entire brain is flooded with survival motivation and nothing is going to work at that point. So, what's a simple thought? Oh, I'm going to trim my beard tomorrow. I need to go to the hairdresser on Friday. Um, you know, gosh, a glass of Kool-Aid would taste really good right now. And all you do is step back and just notice the fact that you're thinking. You don't pay any attention to the content of the thought. You just notice the fact that a thought is taking place. And you know that a thought is happening because you notice the words of your language in your mind. And then as soon as you do that, networks in the brain switch and the voice in your head goes away instantly. Now, don't worry, it'll come back. Don't worry about that. But the instant the voice goes away, the exercise is over. So don't analyze the process, don't talk back to it, don't judge the thought. And that is moment mindfulness. If there's anybody listening that has a comment, I see we have a heart. Thank you very much for the heart. If you have a question or comment about the practice, put it in the comments. We'll discuss it because we have spent a lot of time on the channel lately really trying to break this down, and specifically for people like Simon who are analyzers, to give them the tools they need to kind of get out of their heads. So what's your response? Do you have anything you might want to add to that, Sarah?
Um, I like the question you posed to Simon, where is the rowboat trying to take you, or those thoughts? Because I have a lot of chatter and it always wants to take me down a path that's not going to have good outcomes.
Uh-huh.
And I get flooded. I get flooded with that fight or flight.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let me
But
just share. Oh, go ahead.
so when we practice moment mindfulness and we wait for the next thought, and it could be, yeah, like I'm taking a shower, wow, the water feels, warm on my body,
Yeah,
and then it just goes away. So can you help me understand, what does this practice eventually lead to? Like, am I gonna stop having thoughts, or
that's a great
I think I'm
question.
still confused about the outcome, what
Okay,
it looks like.
there's really two things. Number one, there is a moment where you suddenly realize see, look, the voice in your head comes from childhood. And when children learn language, they they have self-talk. And what we've learned through research is that the self-talk was labeled by Piaget as egocentric speech. So the child
Hmm.
talks out loud about themselves to themselves in order to try to soothe their feelings. Okay, now around 5 or 6 or 7 years of age, that self talk goes inside and becomes private speech, or the voice in your head that sounds like you talking to you. And
Hmm.
we mistaken that voice to be ourselves. So we identify with that voice. Now, what do I mean by identification? So take my shirt, for instance. I identify this as my shirt. I'm wearing the shirt. Before I bought the shirt, I had no sense of identification with it at all.
Mm.
I didn't open Amazon and see it on the site and say, that's my shirt. I didn't do that because I didn't identify it. Now, let's say I took the shirt off and I sold it to Simon. And now Simon's going to wear the shirt. I no longer identify the shirt as mine. This is what happens to the self talk because nobody comes along in childhood and says, by the way, that voice in your head is not who you are. We continually use it to try to alter our internal emotional state. And in the process, the network in the brain that does this, called the default mode network, also brings with the voice a sense of self. And so we naturally, over the years, identify the voice as ourselves. Unfortunately, it's being driven by the primitive emotional parts of the brain, and as adults, we really don't need that. Okay, now let me get to the second point you brought up was, is the objective to make the voice go away? No, the objective is to disidentify with it. That it no longer when it talks, it no longer has that me feeling.
So then it no longer has power. So just like your shirt, if your shirt is not who you are, it's just a tool.
That's right.
So internal speech can be a tool?
Yes, of course. So
Okay.
if you invite me, well, every time I read a book, there's internal speech, isn't there?
Yes.
I'm converting word symbols into actual words in my head, and that's how I read. So I'm using the tool of internal speech. Or let's say you invite me over to your house, and I'm trying to remember the directions to your house. Okay, I turn right on Elm Street and left on Main Street. Okay, now I'm using the tool of the internal voice to reinforce my short-term memory.
Okay.
Okay, and then I think, but when I get there, she won't like my shirt and we'll have a miserable evening. Okay, now the tool is using me.
Okay.
So
I
I
need to
started
write that
out
one down.
I started out using the tool, but in the process it started using me. But I want to get to something else you said. Although the goal is not to make the voice stop, eventually it does. And I'll tell you why. Because the fuel for the voice in your head, it's like a bonfire. A bonfire needs wood, it needs fuel. Well, what does the voice in your head need to sustain it? It needs identification, the
Mm,
belief that it's you. When you no longer believe the voice in your head is you, it gradually gets really quiet in your head. And so the voice actually, not 100%, but almost entirely goes away. There's no more daily self talk. You know, I mean, I don't have to, when I look at you, I don't have to say the word Sarah in my head. I know it's Sarah. It's all nonverbal, it's massive amounts of processing. And I realize that this constant self talk is really serving no purpose except to steer the boat in the wrong direction if I want to believe what it says.
my gosh.
Is this making sense?
Yeah.
And so as we're having
Yes.
this conversation right now, I'm not having a conversation in my head. Oh, Sarah's doing this. Oh, I see this expression on Simon's face, and oh, I need to push this button over here. Oh, Shannon made a comment, and I need to bring it up. And I'm not doing any of that in my head because I'm an advanced spiritual person. No, that's not why I'm doing it. I'm I'm doing it because I'm not doing it because I just don't. I'm not interested in the voice in my head, and so it's kind of died a natural death. And so it just gets, my head is very quiet. Shannon says this makes me think of addiction. And so that's the really good news is that, people, we're the our world that we live in, this kind of spiritual self-help world, is full of people looking for presence.
Mhm.
Okay, well, what takes you out of presence? Thinking about the remembered past or the imagined future. Well, when
Yes.
there's no thinking, you're always present. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move Simon over here. I hope that didn't make you dizzy, Simon.
I'm okay.
And I'm going to move the comments over here. There we go. Alexis Salazar. Hi. I absolutely love the content. Thanks so much. We're working very hard to make this useful to everybody. And Shannon says, when someone is addicted, they're hooked into it, whatever it is. Maybe I can think of thoughts as trying to get me hooked in. That's exactly right.
Mm. Oh.
That's exactly right. So I've told this story before. Let me tell it again because it gets back to the boat analogy that Simon brought up. Um, Not criticizing you, Simon, but here in the Central Valley, we have of California, we have two industries, big industries. One is agriculture, gigantic, and the other is prisons. And so if you're a young kid without much education or future in the Central Valley, if you can make it through the academy, you can become a correctional officer and you can make a really good living, and that's a pretty good career. I wouldn't want it, but it's a good career. And so I had this kid come to me. He had made it through the academy, and he had been assigned to Corcoran Prison. But every time he went to work, he would get extremely depressed. And so he tried to find a counselor who could help him with the depression. Unfortunately, he found me. And so, I'm doing my thing. I'm asking him, well, what about his childhood? Well, it turns out he came from an extremely strict Hispanic background. And these kids in this household were not allowed to do anything. And the father ruled the place like with an iron fist. And he's going through this whole thing, not realizing, of course, what he's saying. And I finally looked at him and I said, it sounds like you were raised in a prison. and, and his eyes got big, and all of a sudden he realized what was happening. Every time he went into that prison to go to work, he was going back into his family of origin subconsciously, and that's where the depression was coming from. Okay, now, what's my point in telling the story? Well, number one, psychology is simpler than you can imagine if you can learn to think this way. But number two, that's an example of how the boat gets steered without our conscious intention. Mm-hmm. So our childhood will take over the rudder and point us in that direction, and we will end up, 45 years of age, having been married twice to the same kind of a person, making the same mistakes, doing the same things, wondering why our life is not working, and it's because we're not at the oars. Somebody else is steering the boat. So,
that's powerful.
Simon, I didn't mean to make that sound like that was at your expense. So you have the floor.
No, I'm glad that we're looking into this so that I can understand it better. Maybe what I meant was I am trying to control the outcome of my behavior or my words, because by doing all this like internal narration, and instead of letting it go, I'm building a bigger toolbox in my head. Like I want all my drawers to be filled with certain tools and every
Right.
little like strategies that I call my personality. In this situation, I'm going to use this tool. I'm going to
Right.
behave this way. And I keep narrating myself.
How does that work?
It's hard to do, and my self-esteem is like something I have to like build up all the time in my head.
Right. Because
Like keep myself.
you're failing to follow through on the plan you're making in your head.
Right. I said I was this guy. I said I would do this. I would say,
Right.
And watching myself do this, I can see my thoughts. I know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing, but I can't help it. I'm narrating my life when I drive, the people I see. It's always this internal narration, just to make sure that I know who I am and I know where I'm coming from. And then I just store it away. And then when I see someone, oh, I remember her. I know what to like think of her. It's like this judgment. I know where the judgment comes from, instant judgment.
So the brain is doing two things that are so gigantic. I think most psychology doesn't even understand this. The number one thing it's doing is it's a gigantic survival machine.
Yeah.
And part of that survival is a gigantic prediction machine. And so what you're doing, the reason why especially analyzers use their thoughts to try to control the outcome is they're trying to survive the next moment. It's
very true.
And so the problem is the next moment doesn't always work like that, and the survival machine in the brain is coming from the most primitive emotional part, and it has its own agenda that it learned in childhood, adapting to what was going on. I just got off a session with a gentleman who I love. He's a great guy. He's the kind of guy you want in a foxhole next to you, But he's really struggled in relationships because he wants to be free. He wants to be out of the house doing his own thing all the time. And so we had this discussion this evening about what his childhood was like. And there's a direct correlation between the way he was raised and how he adapted to that, to the way he managed his adult relationship. And this was the first time he'd ever seen that correlation before. And he's a very soft-spoken gentleman, who I have a lot of respect for, but I could just kind of tell underneath the surface he was just completely blown away to realize that there was this emotional force left over from his childhood that was driving everything all the time, and he never really saw it before. He just thought he was a bad person. And it's sad, and of course he can't now go to his partner and say, "Oh, I suddenly realized why I've been doing all these things," because she'll just say it was an excuse. And so, and the problem is in our culture, we don't understand, human beings are not rational beings with emotions. They're emotional beings that rationalize. And it's gigantic. It's huge. We are being controlled at the rate of theta waves, which is 6 times a second, to go into an altered state of survival, and the entire cortex gets hijacked by the limbic system. And this happens all day long, and we don't realize it's happening to us. Unless you do moment mindfulness, when you awaken, you can see your own psychology laid out like a banquet table in front of you, and you know exactly what you're doing and where it came from, and you just opt out. And you're like, no, I don't need that anymore. You're nodding your head, Sarah. Can you relate to that?
I feel like that's where I've been. I feel like I think I said that I feel like I'm finally understanding myself or meeting myself
Uh-huh.
because I finally am seeing how my thoughts have run the show for a long time, and I was unaware until
Right.
recently. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I
And
was
so it's
so
been,
touched a couple weeks ago when you said you realized you're not your sad story.
yeah, I am so sick of my sad little story. I mean, it's a sad one, but no, it's no. So I'm really, it's been a painful process to really see myself, but it's also a very empowering process. And I'm just so glad
Oh,
I'm here and I'm willing to deal with the discomfort, which it's been really uncomfortable, but I
really?
am so willing to deal with that so I can continue to grow and move forward.
It's so exciting for me to hear you say that, because the whole purpose of these live streams was to get people like you on that go through the process and watch this transformation. I mean, it validates what I'm trying to do with my life to help people, and I really appreciate it. Shannon says, what if we look at our thoughts as just sharing information with us, kind of like a guest that shows up and then moves on, like a passerby? Here's the That's exactly what needs to happen, but the problem is you can't will this. You have to realize there's a realization that happens that your thoughts are just a passerby, but you can't force yourself to believe that when you still identify the voices yourself. This is the problem with almost all self-help and personal growth work and all the stuff you see on the internet. I was watching a slice of a very famous guru telling everybody in the audience that when you absolutely 100% believe in your goal, it will manifest itself. Okay, I'm sure that's probably true. Now go do it. Can you do that? No, you can't do that. What you can do is feel really guilty because you can't be 100% sure. And what's wrong with you? The guru can do it. How come I can't do it? Yeah. No, what we're doing here is where the rubber meets the road. If you're watching this, you're watching the recording, you're looking at real people struggling to try to get out of their heads and have what they're supposed to have, which is called life. And that's what this is all about. So if anybody has a comment or a question, Um, Alexis, if you have a comment or question, put it in there. This is really, really important. This distinction between, somebody who tells you what you need to do and somebody who tells you how to do it. And you're looking at the living proof tonight with Sarah. You didn't come to the seminar and buy the t-shirt and get the book signed that said, you need to think less or you need to quiet your mind. Okay. Well, how do I do that? Well, you just need to think less. It'll come to you. No, we're addicted to thought. We're in love with our thinking. We worship our thinking. It's the thing that's wrong with the world. This is why nobody's free. Look out there. Go turn on the TV. This is why the world is the way it is. Everybody's listening to the voice in their head, and the voice in their head wants them to survive at the expense of everybody else, and that's why we're in this situation. We have a chance to make it different if we'll get out of our heads and into reality.
Mark, let me ask you something. If it's not my thinking that I'm bringing to the world out here, like in reality, because I thought like it's my thinking and my personality and everything I've gathered that I'm bringing to other people, I'm bringing to the world. If it's not that, if I'm not bringing my personality and I'm not bringing my creativity and this character right in my head, then what do I have to offer? Like, is it just my workmanship? Is it just like muscles? Should I just work and not contribute anything else? Like, how do I live without the person that I'm bringing to other people? Like, what do I bring then? What? Like,
you're doing it right now. Simon, everybody who's watched you on these live streams absolutely is in love with you. But they're not in love with your mind. They're in love with your honesty.
Your vulnerability.
Yeah. I mean, look at you. You're this tough guy. You work on cars. You're a man among men. But you bring vulnerability with power. It makes you powerful. And this is who you really are. So all this other mental manipulation is covering that up because you don't think that's enough. And I'm telling you, my experience of that is that it is enough. It's more than enough. It reminds me of a client I had one time who was, she was a genius, but her sister was a super genius. And, she's talking about her sister and she says, my sister can speak 7 languages. I can only speak 3. And I'm like, she's a phenomenally beautiful woman, incredibly intelligent. And what's going through her mind is she can only speak 3 languages, but her sister can speak 7. This is how we live. It's bullshit. It's crazy. So I'm telling you, Simon, you're enough. It's stirring, literally stirring inside to listen to you. Now, what's the purpose of life? The purpose of life is that so consciousness can express itself through us. And it's having a tough time because it has to break through the ego in order to do that.
Oh, right. I'm putting a stop on where I take this boat. It's like, no, we're going to go in my direction. I said this way. That's
right.
what I use these pedals for.
Yeah.
That's what I use it as a tool. Yeah. I don't just let it like go willy-nilly just down the river on its own. No. We're going to go my way.
That's right.
Yeah, I steer it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And at some point, if you're not lucky enough to, run into an opportunity to do this earlier in life, at some point you just get sick of yourself and you're willing to get over it and surrender to the process of whatever the hell this is.
I'm ready now. I don't know how to let it go. I'm ready now.
Well, but
I am.
I appreciate that, but you just made a big speech about how you're not ready.
Correct, correct, correct. That's that like dualism, dichotomy. Like I'll let it go
Yeah,
now, but I need to be really hard working at being the
yeah.
best at it. I want my ego to be the best at what it's doing.
You know what the ego wants more than anything? It wants to be God's God.
Oh,
Mm,
definitely,
wow.
definitely.
Yeah.
I know. I don't mean to put it in religious terms, but I mean, you know, in
Yeah,
2 Corinthians 10:4, Paul says, hold in captivity every thought and every high thing that exalted itself against the Lord. What's he saying? We're in love with our thinking. We're worshiping our thinking.
yeah.
We don't want to worship God. We're worshiping our egos.
My God. You know this? There's this old Greek myth of Sisyphus who was like rolling a boulder up the hill.
Right,
When I was 13, about 13, I had that dream 3 times, like 3 nights in a row, of rolling a boulder up the hill. And it wasn't until college that I realized what the myth was and where it came from. I was like,
mm-hmm.
why would a 13-year-old have this dream? What the hell is a 13-year-old thinking rolling a boulder up a hill, right? And now I just realized like I'm waiting for the day to punish God because now he has to like be attendance to my actions, right? He has
Right.
to be there watching me work. And
Yeah,
that's his punishment.
yeah.
That's God's punishment. It's not my punishment. I love working. I'll work my life off for the rest of eternity. I will work just to watch him suffer as I do my work because he has to be in attendance. It was like, what the
and
hell?
and so he'll
Yeah.
and here's the challenge, because your subconscious just spoke very clearly, and the challenge is for you to take what you just said and go ponder, who does God represent in your life?
Oh my,
Because it's not God.
but I will outwork it and I just want to punish it like revenge. I want to get
Yeah.
revenge on someone
So
really
so who
badly.
who does that little boy want revenge against?
My God, it's like a shopping list of people or
Well,
things. And I'm just like,
you go in the privacy of your own thoughts and just ask the question, who am I trying to punish with work? And the answer
okay,
will come to you. The answer will
all
come
right,
to you.
yeah,
Oh my God, I love these live streams. They're just fascinating to me. So we've got about 7 or 8 minutes left. If there's anybody listening to this who has a question, um, by the way, we have a free Facebook group. There are a number of instruments. If you want to reach out for some one-on-one support, there are links in the description. Now the links won't be there for about 24 hours because the way YouTube uploads live streams, it's a little hard to deal with for a while until it kind of settles in. But reach out to us. We're here to help you through this process. I mean, Sarah is living proof tonight. Her testimony of what's happening. This is real stuff. This is not self-help. This is not um, putting lipstick on a pig. This is change that happens deep down inside. Yes, but we punish ourselves. Yeah, because
yeah.
some of us think we're not good enough, so we need punishment. So we got a few minutes. I'll take anybody have any if you're listening to this live and you don't have questions, it means you're on a sedative. So, because this is taken a very interesting turn. Sarah, what comments do you have in kind of wrapping up tonight?
I think I'm going to be listening to this video over and over again. I think it was
Uh-huh.
really powerful, and a lot of what you said, what was said tonight, just really is clicking it a little bit more in place for me.
Well, the more you see
Um,
this and understand it, the easier it is to get the next chunk.
yeah, yeah, and just to understand, that our egocentric speech, just learning about that was really powerful because
Oh, really?
I remember I've always talked to myself as a child, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't, yeah. And sometimes as a nurse, I've had so many patients tell me, you talk to yourself. I'm still talking out loud.
Hmm.
Yeah, but no, wow, this has been really powerful. And yeah, and like I said, I'm finally at that point where I got sick of it enough that something's got to give.
Oh, I
And I
really
wish it
appreciate
didn't
that.
have to, but you know what? I'm just grateful. It doesn't matter that it came
Hmm.
now this late in my life. It would have been so nice to have woken up earlier, but
I
I'm
hear
just
you.
grateful. I'm
You
so
know, and Sarah,
grateful.
we got some really nice comments about the quality of person you are too.
Oh, thank you.
And one of them was from that guy down there. Sorry, sorry
I
to
thought that was
embarrass
a
you. So.
private, man. That was a private. You can't say that.
And it was a very nice comment. It wasn't
Oh,
colored with anything.
thank you, Simon.
What What about you, Simon? In wrapping up, any comments?
Man, like she said, I'm gonna watch this video again and just figure out. Maybe I need to write it down or write it out. Like, who am I trying to punish here?
Uh,
Why am I being so hard on this punishment? And I'm just keep fighting it. I keep fighting it. I'm ready for some kind of like revengeful punishment.
right.
And it gives me like energy, like this combative warrior energy. I'm waiting to like use it.
Uh huh. Are you still doing the doodling?
Definitely, I have reams of like
Sh-
doodles that
Show,
I
show
can't
every.
let go. Like,
Look at that. Oh my
this is the way I
God.
Whoa.
think. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking to myself and doodling, making artwork. And yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out.
It's a beautiful mind. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
mind.
So I need to, anyway, disidentify with all that.
So I think, we here know what value we have on this channel. Um, Going through this process on YouTube is extremely difficult. Uh, and and we want to get this message out. So if you can help us in any way, please like and subscribe. We love your comments. We actually analyze the comments. I did an analysis of 300 comments the other day, and it brought up some topics that we want to cover here. If you've got some topics you want us to cover, please let us know. Some things we're thinking about now is some avoidant attachment and anxious attachment. Um, I can't remember some of the other things that are on the list. Internal family systems is a hot topic. I was involved with internal family systems 20 years ago. I talked to Richard Swartz myself. I understand that, and I understand why it's important to graduate from that, because internal family systems are inside the limbic system and we're moving outside the limbic system. That's where the personality is, and all the subpersonalities, that's in the limbic system. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, you are not your personality, that's a construct. So, Shannon, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I'm proud of you for not giving up. I tell you, there are days. So, those kind of
Yeah.
comments are what keep us plugging away at this. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
So, this will be posted. Please watch the recording if you couldn't watch all of the live stream, and share it with your friends. All right, we'll see everybody next Thursday. Next Thursday, by the way, I'm going to be traveling, and I'm going to be doing this from an RV with Starlink. And it ought to be a real interesting experience. I hope the two of you join us next week,
All
because
right. All
you're
right.
part of the family now, and you can tell me how it comes across, because I've got a laptop, and I'm going to do this whole thing, and we'll see how it works. It'll be very interesting. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for
Yep.
coming. We'll see you next week.
Good
Bye
Thank
night.
bye.
you.